Hi guys. So today I'm going to do a um, really simple spaceship side view and then quickly translate that into three-quarter view. So in this case, I'm going to use the classic indicator of speed, which is kind of like a teardrop shape. So in this case, it's kind of a teardrop shape cut in half, and then I'm going to graphically try to reinforce the sense of speed. And there's all kinds of experiments I can do at this point, but I think I'll just keep it super simple because I want to do these really efficiently, hopefully in about 10 minutes or so. So let's put some vents here. In fact, I think maybe I'll have like an upper shell, and then almost graphically the upper shell is separated from the lower. I want to make sure it feels nice and strong. I definitely don't want the bottom to be negative. All right, so I'll make a new layer, increase my brush size, and I'll hit this with one brush stroke, and then try to do a little subtle gradation towards the bottom. And then another thing I like to do is just erase around the boundaries of that side view. And this is a little bit tricky because you want to make sure you lift your hand off of the pad so you don't have to do a Control Z and go way too far back. Okay, so I have one value. I'm going to duplicate that value, and this time I'm going to maybe focus on getting the graphics. So the lower greeble area and the front visor. By the way, little interesting thing about the visor, a lot of times that can give an indication of how big the ship is supposed to be. So I want you to kind of think about, okay, how big is that supposed to be? And I think I can go a little bit darker with the values. And I like to merge this stuff as much as possible. Maybe a quick indication of an interior, and how I typically do that is put a little ball in there to indicate the head, put a little indication of a headrest, maybe like a pillar, add some thickness. This is kind of supposed to be an exaggeration of the perspective on the other side. Maybe a pillar over here and the pillar on the other side. There we go. I can probably put some graphic lines. I mean, that can take a long time on its own, so I'm going to leave the graphic lines out for right now. One other thing I like to do is either erase that layer with the original value or go over the whole thing with a little highlight. And since this is kind of a teardrop shell, I'm going to just kind of go through the motion of what I think the lighter part of the upper would look like. So I almost start with a big brush, do my own gradients towards the bottom. And maybe while I'm at this, I can darken the bottom just a little bit more. A lot of times you want your ships to have a nice foundation, a nice base. And also, once you have that value on there, it's kind of easy to go in there and pick out like the glass elements. So I'll go in there with the eraser, and in a way, think about it like adding eyelashes to that visor. And I try to make them thick and thin. And also, I want to show that there's a different value on there. And I think I'm almost done with this ship. I do feel a little bit funky. Maybe erase more of this. Maybe go in here with some quick highlights. Maybe there's a little highlight here, and this is actually a different material. One trick I have for doing greeble is I like to isolate a particular area. Just make it pitch black. And then this is actually a trick one of my students taught me. But you want to go in there and put almost like a random grid. So I can go here, put some lines, and then I'll go in there and pick out certain lines. And then I'll go back with the eraser and erase a bunch of them away. And it's really weird because it gives you that greeble effect before you know it. Have nice borders around this. Maybe have a little bevel on this opening so it doesn't look like it was just cookie cut stamped out. Maybe clean that bevel up just a bit. This is around the time that I think to myself, okay, I'm spending way too much time on this. This is supposed to be really simple. Alright, so I'm going to put a few extra touches. One thing is I'm thinking this area actually pops out now. So let me try this. Alright, I'm going to go on that layer. First, I think I'll erase away the light value that fell on here. I'll go on the very top layer, make a new layer, and put a little subtle touch of a highlight in this area, so this panel feels like it's maybe popping out. Go in there with the black. Another thing to notice is the angle. I'm going with that angle right there. In fact, just to kind of show what I'm talking about, maybe I'll extend this to the roof and add some sort of little detail element there. So I'm trying to stay in that angle because you want to always think about some sort of grid happening in this. Okay, so I'm almost done with my ship. I usually like to leave about 2 minutes at the end just to do some cleanup work. And so I think in this case, I'm just going to go over stronger line just to kind of show the silhouette a little bit better. There we go. Maybe the tail end kicks out just a bit. I think that would be a good idea. Try to use that same angle I was using earlier. Maybe it has like a little layering effect down at the tail. And then it continues. Putting little vents back here is not going to be a terrible idea. Reinforce the bottom just a bit more. Put a tiny little bit of mechanical stuff down here. Alright, so I'm taking a little bit too long with my spaceship. Maybe a little bevel in this area. Give it that iPhone treatment. Make sure it's cleaned up. Alright, one little thing I don't like is that little screw up there, but I think I'm going to actually use that for a little detail. So I'll come in here with a white and I'm going to kind of put a little bit of surface development in there. So maybe it shoots out from there. and fades out. Okay, so I have my timer for 10 minutes, and that's 10 minutes, and I'm pretty much done with this. Just do a little bit more cleanup. All right, so there's my spaceship. Did that in about 10 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is take this into 3/4 view and try to plot it out really quickly. Before I do that, I'm going to give myself 1 more minute for just a little bit of cleanup work. So I'll make 1 layer on top of everything and go in here with a white brush and just try to correct some little issues this thing might have. You know, lines bleeding out, giving it more of a fuller feel by plumping out the bottom just a bit. Maybe showing a little indication of different stuff happening into the body here. But one thing I have to keep reminding myself is don't get carried away with all the little stuff. And all right, so I cleaned it up. I'm going to save this file. And let's see, desktop, simple ship side demo. All right, guys, thank you very much. And the next version, the next video I'm going to do right after this is take this ship and plot it out to 3/4 view. Thank you.